When a support worker first starts, we do an assessment of where their skills currently sit, then we develop a training plan around that. The training plan consists of a mixture of theory and practical work.
It's a 7-week program and it's 4 weeks in a classroom type setting, and then they move into 2 weeks doing work experience, and that might be in the community sector or it might be in rest homes.
Initially what happens is that staff receive their books, they decide which way they're going to work through them. When they've completed a workbook, they may come back to us and say that they've got particular issues with a certain area. We'll then bring that up at a staff meeting and see if that's occurring for everybody. If that's occurring across the board, we'll then do a training session for all of the staff to be able to catch up and be on the same level.
We now have the buddy, and we're getting to a point where we're having varying degrees of the buddy. The buddies are now doing training themselves in a formal education session in the classroom with our manual handling classes.
Initially, the care workers were so uptight, they were nervous because all they could relate back to was that it was school and an exam, and and they had a lot of walls and barriers up.
There's a lot of challenges for them taking part in a qualification, not just about working full time, but looking after and supporting their families as well.
Once they started having assessments and they realised that it was fun and they knew this stuff, it really went a long way to increasing their self-esteem.
For them to go on and come in for graduation and get a certificate, there's a huge sense of pride. And I think that sense of pride then goes into their work.
We wanted to invest in training because we understood the link between quality and training.
It's highly cost effective to participate in a nationalised training program.
Training helps to ensure that support workers are able to implement the organisation's quality standards.
It also offers some very good benchmarking for us as an organisation. We've changed our internal structures so that our salaries match the training.
All the core competencies that are based on Careerforce are all linked directly into our workplace. They work within our work practices and our policies and procedures.
The training is protecting our care workers out there in the community from being exploited. For example, we're going into Mrs. Smith's house and Mrs. Smith says, I want you to go outside and clean all the windows. Prior to the training, a lot of care workers, not only were they out there cleaning the windows, they were out there gardening because they didn't know how to say no to the client.
I didn't have a plan.
These books tell you why you're not allowed to do those things.
The amazing change in the individual home care workers' sense of belief and value of themselves has been outstanding.
It's enormously humbling to see people develop and grow and come, even when they've gone, come back and continue to share their highs and their lows with us.
I think that we have achieved a place where we are an organisation that has a real culture of learning and ongoing development.
Careerforce is invaluable for people that are having to undertake auditing. And now we have this beautiful set of books, qualifications, they're NCQA approved, and you can just hand it over to them and say, well, here's the evidence.
Before we had implemented the qualification, I was responsible for recruitment and seemed to be recruiting every other week for quite a while. Now our retention is awesome. Staff are staying longer.
We're starting to recruit and retain a higher level of support worker, somebody who's much more committed to the role.
Our incredibly high staff retention compared with other similar organisations is indicative of something, and we think part of that something is probably training.
Probably the most important thing about Careerforce is that we have an opportunity to be able to support staff to develop their career pathways.
They can see that not only can they develop in this sector, but they can also take the skills they've learnt from this sector into other sectors.
It gives us an option to bring people into leadership roles because they get the qualifications, and it has allowed us to put in a whole new step, hasn't it, of coordinators.
Foundation skills have been an absolute lifesaver in our business. It's given every staff member a good basis as to what's expected from them in the workplace.
Staff are now involved in not just doing risk management plans or care support plans, they're integral now in doing parts of policies and procedures. They understand the rationale behind things that are happening.
They are more integrated into task and reporting, so from an incident or accident point of view they're aware of their responsibilities.
When staff are not trained, they can sometimes feel out of their depth in situations. When they are trained, they feel much more confident and they understand what their role is.
We believe that our clients are receiving a much higher level of care and support from our staff as a result of the training that they've completed.
In the past, I think before the training came in, support workers saw their role very much as doing for rather than now doing with.
I think also it's created an increased awareness in their minds about the role that they're doing, where things might not be quite right, where they're using those skills that they're learning to identify something that might not be right for that client.
I really appreciate the professionalism of the ladies that come in.
With the caregivers and the ongoing training they have, it's enabled me to stay living in my own home with my wife.